best success principles I've ever discovered were the 17 principles from Napoleon Hill. Does anybody know who Napoleon Hill was? Anybody? Well, we can't be shy on a Friday
He wrote
morning.
the
The
book
author of,
Think and Grow Rich.
yes.
Think and Grow Rich. You got it. Does anybody know how he got the access to write that book? To all those
Did he work
amazing
with
people.
Dale Carnegie?
Close, Andrew Carnegie.
Andrew
That
Carnegie.
was very good. So Andrew Carnegie, who at the time was the richest man in the world, okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of a background because the context matters. He came to the U.S. From Scotland, and by the 1800s, he built a steel empire, and by the early 1900s, he managed to give it all away, funding our public library system, directly funding about 1,700 public libraries. So the reason I mention this to you is there's significance. Andrew Carnegie asked Napoleon Hill to take on the task of interviewing 500 of the most wealthiest and successful people on the planet. And Carnegie said to Napoleon Hill, you're going to have lots of problems. Everything you do is going to tell you to quit because that's the easiest thing in the world for weaklings. Carnegie provided access to these leaders, but did not provide funding or a financial safety net. Now, he's the wealthiest man in the planet at that time. It would have been easy for him to give him money, but he didn't do that for a reason, because he wanted Napoleon Hill to experience the value and the struggle of compiling the information himself for his own personal gain. Now, at the time, Andrew Carnegie, if you were to bring it to today's value, he was worth more than Elon Musk. He was worth more than Jeff Bezos. He was worth more than Warren Buffett. He was worth more than all three of them combined, just to give you a context. Okay. So if you were to use that in today's dollars, he was the wealthiest person by a magnitude of 3 of anybody else. His first success principle is one that has personal meaning to me, because I've heard it used by others, and especially in the RE/MAX context. The first principle is definiteness of purpose, or knowing where you're going, knowing what your outcome is, having certainty that you're going to get there. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Without a purpose and a plan, people drift aimlessly through life. Would you all agree on that? All right, Robert, can you speak for everybody?
Yes.
All right, that's an enthusiastic yes. Now, I will tell you that the definiteness of purpose is something that our founder of RE/MAX, Dave Liniger, spoke about when he walked out of a hospital after basically being given a death sentence from the MRSA. I think it's a virus, okay? Probably 8 or 10 years ago, he contracted the MRSA virus. He put his lieutenants in charge of RE/MAX, turned the company over public, planned for his demise, but he himself said, I'm going to go back to the principles of Think and Grow Rich. I'm going to set a date where I'm going to walk out of this hospital, and he did it. And he said that he had used these principles many times earlier in RE/MAX when things were tough. He knew that he would get to the other side by exercising this one principle. And I do believe he writes about it in some of his books, just FYI. The second principle here, how many people do we have on now? I can't see. 58. Okay. So the second principle is the Mastermind Alliance, which is kind of relevant to what we're doing here. And the Mastermind Alliance, a Mastermind Alliance can be as few as 2 or as many as 50 people. So we're actually 8 above the Mastermind Alliance limit, as was the case with Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, let's see, the Mastermind principle consists of an alliance of 2 or more minds working in perfect harmony for the attainment of a common goal or objective. Success does not come without the cooperation of others. Now, do you think that, the greatest people in industry, in science, in philanthropy, philosophy, or anything could get there without leaning into other people? Does anybody think that you can do that? Or do we all kind of piggyback off of the experiences and successes and opinions and strategies of others to get there? The reality is that we, would not be able to reinvent ourselves without this principle of sharing ideas in the Mastermind Alliance. And going to the, the third one is applied faith. And this one is one where it's not like an applied faith for religion, it's an applied faith for belief. And the best one that I can think of for this principle is, imagine in 1950s in Central Florida when the Orlando area was swampland. A man comes down there named Walt Disney and has this vision of building an empire in the swamp. And I would bet that everybody thought he was crazy. And if you were to talk to Walt Disney at the time, he said that you have to first see it, believe it, and then it comes true, if that makes any sense. So all dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. You must see it and believe it before it materializes. Does anybody go on a listing appointment and see the successful outcome before you go through the activity? Who does that?
Absolutely.
Right? You go in there and you're like, I see myself winning. I see myself coming out of there with a listing at, 5, 6, 7%, whatever your expectation is. And when you see it in your own mind, it materializes, and then it becomes a reality. Lesson 4 is what Napoleon Hill called the principle of going the extra mile. And he says you're always rewarded for delivering more than you're paid for. Anybody not buy that one? So if Napoleon Hill were alive and talking to the Remax Select group here, he would say, it doesn't matter what you're getting paid, go above and beyond, and the universe will find a way to compensate you. Anybody want to challenge me on that?
No, really, because when what do you call that? When you do the best that you can, people always refer you out to other people. And I had experience in the past that I do whatever I can to make the people happy there. And those people, they would recommend me to other people, even though I did not make money on that deal, but I made more money by doing other deals.
Tony, thank you for sharing that. And sure. I think that this one here is an eye-opener for me, Tony. If you were to put yourself in the perspective of the public and you're coming over to market my house, list it for sale, Tony, what do you think the public perceives your goal to be?
Well, a lot of people think that you are not, going to do the best interest for them, but a lot of people think that you want to do the best interest for you and make the commission and go home. So that's why after being in the business for so long, your reputation precedes you, and a lot of people call you because they heard, well, don't call Tony unless you want to sell your property because he'll get it sold. Or like one yesterday, he said, you come across so sincere and so honest that I cannot deal with anybody else. I said, well, we know each other for since you bought this house. So I said, you could see what I do and what I do in the area. So yeah, it comes across, the way you project yourself, and sometimes we don't see it, or sometimes we forget about it, and that's why when you are in the public eye, it's always nice to be always proactive and be always positive instead to be negative, because you never know who is listening to you or who's watching you. And then the other thing is that, especially now with this social media there, the less you say, the better it is, because you never know who's watching and who's seeing it and what they think about you, even though you don't mean that way. So yeah, you got to be very careful.
So Tony, I lost connection for about 10 seconds, but I want to come back to that and say, I have a firm belief that the public looks at us and says, if you're listing my $500,000 house at 6%, either you're making 36,000, or you're making 30, or you're making $15,000. If they're savvy enough to figure that we get half and we put half out in most cases. But what they don't realize, and what we don't do a good job as an industry of, is saying that, look, if I were at your table, Tony, I might explicitly say this, or my body language would give you this message. Hey, Tony, if all we ever did was market your house successfully and you were satisfied, and I never got a referral or another piece of business from you, with all due respect, I'd like to withdraw myself from consideration. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that vibe? Whether or not we verbalize that, what do you think of that as a philosophy on an appointment?
Yeah, that's a good one there too. Yes.
But I think that we all should have that in the back of our head, is that, look, if all I ever do is list your house, find a way to get it sold, get a commission, and move on, and don't create a lifelong referral relationship, do above and beyond, go the extra mile, exceed your expectations, and this would all be for naught. If you had that belief, I think it would change the way that we interact on business. It would change the way that we talk to consumers, and it would change the level of service we deliver. And this is the principle of going the extra mile, right? I mean, if you get the property closed and the customer is satisfied, which most of the time customers that are closing with real estate professionals are satisfied. And in surveys, they say, you know what, I would recommend my agent again in the future. Who knows what the dismal amount of repeat business is in this industry? If 95% say that my agent did a great job and I would refer them and use them again in the future, what percentage actually do?
15.
30.
Yeah. Nope, it's closer to 15. It's closer to 15%. How pathetic is that, right?
That's because you
And
don't
my
stay in
belief,
touch with them.
well, that's part of it, Ron. But do you think part of it is also that we didn't give them that extra mile experience, the extra mile experience? We didn't go above and beyond. We just did a good job. We had the closing. They said, you know what, I would recommend Ron, but they're not going to be a raving fan and go out of their way to tell everybody that they come across that, Rob or Ron are the best agents that they've ever dealt with. And I think that's where the extra mile principle comes in. And I think it's worth writing this piece down. And if you write down that if you go on a business relationship, an opportunity, whether it's a buyer or a seller, and, if you are comfortable enough saying it, you can say it. But if you're not, you need to at least internalize it and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, hey, Mrs. Seller, if the only thing we ever do is transact this piece of business and I don't exceed your expectations and I'm not your go-to real estate professional for life, I would prefer not to start this relationship. Is that okay? Like, think about the power of that. And I think saying it, unless you have, the right context and the right rapport, could be offensive. But I think that that mentality and that vibe is something that needs to be there when we transact business. Anybody want to challenge me on that one?
I'm a
Any-
little, Rob. I just think that a lot of people forget that real estate agents are pretty much up there when you're talking about relationships with their doctors, their mechanics, their accountants, those type of relationships. Like, for instance, all my clients, well, most of them, I still have a relationship with them, a friendship with them. I still talk to them on the phone because they're looking for one person that does their job for the rest of their lives. Like, they're looking for one doctor, they're looking for one mechanic, they're looking for only specific specialists. And if you're that agent, then you're with them for the rest of your life. You're not just with them for that transaction. So I just think that people forget that who we are very important to them. They think that we're just there to sell that one particular house, and it's not the case. We can be, your lifelong friend, depending on how many houses you buy or whatever, especially if you're later in life. You don't know that of your family had, once you, pass over, you trust us. You've been our friends for 20, 30 years. So you know that we're going to take care of the best interests of your family. But in their mind, they see us as a salesperson, where it comes to car salesmen, where you're automatically going in there with the negative aspect. But if we, as realtors, change our mindset or change their perspective of we're not just a one and done thing. We're more or less people that go the extra mile as far as just time or friendship, all that other stuff that we just don't invest in.
So I think that there's some differences and nuances in, let me just see here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think there's some differences and nuances between a doctor, mechanic, and your real estate professional. And one of the things is, I think the public looks at the service or looks at the outcome as the home, and they look at us as just like getting an Uber ride to the property where it's not as significant. Okay, we're just part of the process of getting them there. And there are a lot of distractions in the process because we have, an open house sign that they walked into. They have habits of just trolling on Zillow just out of curiosity or just checking on stuff. And then we kind of get backseated into the process. Okay, we lose our primary role because, in my opinion, we didn't earn or maintain it. So I think the buying process is just a little bit different. If your car breaks down and you have a mechanic that you trust, you go to that mechanic. You're not getting bombarded by Zillow of car mechanics, right? And if you need to go to your doctor, you've generally selected a primary doctor, you know who you're going to go to. Real estate's a little bit different. So we really need to go above and beyond in delivering that service that is not just satisfactory, but is raving fan worthy service that will get us clients to come back to us, and more importantly, to refer us to others.
Well,
So I'm gonna leave. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say is that even with every aspect, when it comes to professional people, we constantly go to different ones until we find the right one. Like, I'll go to different mechanics until I find one that I trust. So it's the same thing when it comes to real estate agents, where when they go to Zillow, they haven't found one they trust. Obviously, going to get bombarded with multiple things. But once they find one with the interview process that they trust, number one is if you get the listing or you get them as a client to buyer, as a buyer, that means they trust you. With that transaction, they trust you. It's up to whether or not you gain that level of friendship, right? So it changes. Like, your doctor changes to a friend because now you're more personal with them. Your mechanic changes to a friend. Even though you might see your accountant once a year, you trust them as a friend to make sure that you don't go to jail, when it comes to tax season. So when I say realtors, as far as the level of, I can say, respect or pride or anything like that. When I put them in the same category as mechanic and doctors, it's because you go to multiple things until you find that right one. And you might go to a specialist for this, but once you trust that specialist, you'll trust them to tell you where else to go. So if we are their go-to person as real estate agents, then they'll trust us when they have to go to, something happens in the house and they say, hey, do you have a plumber? They don't want to go look on them yellow pages. They're going to trust our opinion when it comes to most aspects when it comes to that house.
So let me just close this. Let me just close the circle on this one subject here and say that I agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to give you an example that might crystallize my point. You might have gone to the best specialist for a need that you've had, but if you've ever had a medical professional with bad bedside manner, it might leave you with a sour taste, even though, Maurice, you know that they're the best doctor for the job. What I'm saying is we can't get the job done but have bad bedside manner because we're not completing the whole process. Okay. Moving on to the next piece. Napoleon Hill talked about successful people having a pleasing or pleasant personality. And, personality is the sum of one's mental, spiritual, and physical traits and habits that distinguish one from all others. It's the factor that determines whether one is liked or disliked by others, aka bedside manner. So, controlling the way that you engage people, do you think it would be more, do you think you'd have a higher enjoyment in life if you went through with a pleasing personality yourself to others than if you were miserable, negative seed? What do you think, Maurice?
Are you saying that you said that you think that having a better personality?
Would you enjoy, if you were always happy and pleasant, right? Do you think you would enjoy life more than if you're miserable and saying, "Oh my God, I can't wait till it's 5 o'clock," or "I can't wait till this client gets this deal closed and I never have to see him again"? Like, which one do you think would give you more satisfaction in life?
Seeing the glass, half full? That's what Maria does. It's kind of funny because I'll come to the office like, ugh, and she'd be like, hey, give me a hug. And I'm like, okay, there we go. We're starting a new day, So
Right.
it's definitely those people who change your perspective.
What does it cost? What does it cost you to have a pleasing personality? What's
Nothing.
the financial cost?
Oh,
and what does that do to your? It just improves the value of your life, and it improves the value of the life of everybody around you. So, I'm going to go to the Daryl Davis. Those of you who went there, bad seeds, stay away. Right, keep the bad seeds away. Have a pleasing personality that's a magnet to others to want to work with you. Number 6 is a really tough one, folks. Okay, number 6 is a tough one. Personal initiative. Okay, of the 500 people that he studied that were the most successful on the planet at the time, he said personal initiative is the power that inspires the completion of what one begins. Personal initiative is the power that inspires the completion of what one begins. It is the power that starts all action. No person is free until he learns to do his own thinking and gains the courage to act on his own or her own. Okay. Number 7, kind of, in my opinion, is the sister to number 5, is having a positive mental attitude. Now, I find very few people that have a positive mental attitude that have a displeasing personality, if you see the connection. But having a positive mental attitude is the right mental attitude for all circumstances. Success attracts more success, while failure attracts what? More failure. So you see how these principles are connected? And I think the value of having the science behind people's success, that we can lean into. And this also ties directly into the belief that our leadership team has, and Maria in the ramp training, of giving everybody access to systems that can get you there quicker, serve clients at a higher level, and improve the value of our lives and the success in your pocketbook, and the more you can contribute to your families and your loved ones. Enthusiasm. Now, Maurice, I see you on my screen here, so I'm going to engage you. Enthusiasm is faith in action. It's the intense emotion known as burning desire. It comes from within and also radiates outward in the expression of one's voicing and continence, the way that you speak. Now, when you go into the office and you're having a little bit of a down day, Maria comes to you and says, "Hey, let me give you a hug." Like, that's her way of expressing and showing you, that she cares and she's supporting what you're doing, and she's enthusiastic about the way she does it. Does that not make sense?
100%. Make sure.
Maurice?
Yes.
And how far do you drive to go to the office?
About 23 minutes.
So 23 minutes, normal traffic or without traffic?
Regular, normal.
So you're spending more than 45 minutes going back and forth to have the culture and the environment to be more productive, rather than just going and doing it at home, or going a block away to your local Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts if you wanted to get out.
Definitely.
So, I think synergy is magical, and you do that because you see value in the caring and the enthusiasm that's going on.
Well, it's all about the office. I mean, Maria has it where if you make a mistake or feel down, when I say mistake, I mean the phone call. It's not, they may judge you, but when you come and tell her, you don't feel judged. It's like solving a problem and wanting to get the results versus holding it in because you feel like somebody's going to judge you. And I think that's when it comes to leadership, that's what we as people want from our leader or from our trainer, is not to feel like we're going to be judged because we made a simple mistake. When I showed her my first listing presentation, it was 45 pages. She was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm trying to make sure I have all information for the township." She was like, "No." She was like, "No, we'll do 2 separate books. One that you save, keep there, and one that you take with you." And that's what you need. That's what I need. I'm going to keep it on myself. I don't know what everybody else needs. That's what I need when it comes to leadership. I have the ideas.
So banish the word presentation from your vocabulary and use conversation. Changes the perspective of meeting. Okay, Robert, am I breaking up, or is it just like Maurice's comment is a little bit choppy?
I'm hearing you fine.
I'm breaking up. Yeah. Oh, you're hearing me fine. Okay. So the next one that Napoleon Hill discovered is self-discipline. If you cannot control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs. Self-discipline begins with the mastery of thought. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs. Self-discipline calls for the balancing of emotions of your heart and the reasoning facility in your head. Did you all hear that?
Yes.
Robert, did you hear it?
Yes.
Now, this one here strikes me with one.
Well, they've
I have
all
one
been done.
example that comes to
He
mind.
wants to know if it has to be printed and brought over to the board. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Hey, Fred,
Maria,
can you mute
need to
everybody?
mute Maria.
Yeah, please.
Oh, sorry.
Mute yourself.
Fred, can you mute everybody? Thank you. Okay, so the one example I remember, and I don't know who said this, but we all have days, moments, times where, we wake up or we're at our desk or we're getting ready to work and we say, "You know what? I don't really feel like, I don't feel inspired. I don't feel like doing this today. And the difference is self-discipline, and the successful people have those bad days, but you know what? They just move forward and do it anyway. Okay. So I got a stomach ache. I got a headache. I'm tired. It's raining. I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to get rejected today. I don't want to make the calls. I don't want to knock the doors. I don't want to do it. Everybody has those thoughts. Everybody has those moments where they don't want to do the things that they know they should do, but the successful people just do it anyway. That's the difference.
Hey, Rob, you know, Rob, there's a comment. Glenn Baker put up that he has a training for his team that's called ANTS, Automatic Negative Thoughts. You can, and he gave a link where you can access it.
Again, Glenn, thank you for sharing. There's multiple sessions in a row here, buddy. We really appreciate your participation. But does that make sense? Like we all have times that we don't want to do what we know we need to do. And the difference between, you know, average, above average, and exceptional people are the exceptional people, the top producers. They feel the same emotions. They feel the same way you do. They don't want to do it, but they just go ahead and do it anyway. That's the difference. Hold on one second.
Yeah, you know what happens a lot of times when you're calling for sale by owners or you're cold calling. This happens to my son because he does it every day. I make him do it every day, whether he likes it or not. But he gets, you know, beat up by the phone calls, you know, from people that, you know, yell at him or they don't want him to call, and you know, he throws his hands up and says, I can't do this anymore. You know, I've been doing this for an hour and a half, and I'm just getting beat up like crazy. So I just tell him, I says, well, get up, take a walk, you know, go outside, take a walk, you know, have a drink, and a snack or something, and then come back with a fresh mind. It's really all mindset. You have to have that mindset that you have to complete with what you have on your schedule to do that day. You know, and if you don't do that, it's just that you're wasting time. We had a class about that a couple of weeks ago. You know, look at your day, look at your bookends. At the end of the day, write down everything you did during the day as you go along. And at the end of the day, look at what you did, and then compare what you're supposed to do and what you didn't do, and then make a correction. And I was telling my agents in the class to try that, you know, for a week and see how the time that you put in was worthy, was successful enough. So as long as you do the work that you have on schedule, then you feel more fulfilled by the end of the day. You did what you're supposed to do. So like I was telling my son, I said, listen, you're going to have days where you're going to get a lot of no's, and there'll be days where you get a couple of yeses. You just got to keep moving forward.
Ron, thank you. We are now the veterans here, Ron, so we have seen it all. And if we can just give 20% of what we've seen and what we experienced to some of the younger people or the second career people, it will be a game changer for their careers and their lives. The next one that Napoleon talked about is the power of accurate thinking. The power of thought is the most dangerous or the most beneficial power available to mankind, depending on how it's used. Again, kind of goes back and forth to, you know, you need to have the vision of what you want, and then your thought process gets you to the rational path to get you there. And if you have negative thoughts, if you have a bad feeling about a business opportunity, I want to ask, like, Robert or Ron, do you think that you are able to predict the future, or do you think that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that your bad thought materializes in a negative outcome? Which do you think it is?
I think it's a
I'll go to you first,
self-fulfilling
Ron.
prophecy.
Go ahead, Robert. Self-fulfilling. What do you think, Ron?
Well, I mean, I have a bad feeling about it. I always trust my gut rather than, anything else. So.
So this is good. This is good context. This is good context for you, Ron, because I want you to maybe think about whether or not sometimes your gut is sabotaging your outcome.
That's true.
So if I can through Napoleon Hill's study get you to change or at least try a couple of times, having a more open mind about it and see if maybe your gut being right is you subconsciously making your gut be right. Is that a possibility?
Yep, I agree with that.
All right. So we're getting deep here, folks. You know, I've read the book Think and Grow Rich probably 15 times. And if it's been a year or two between reads, I always get something different from it. And I know some people like to have audiobooks, but I strongly recommend it's out of, what do you call it? It's not copyrighted anymore. So it's a really inexpensive book. And it's like the Bible of self-development, in my opinion. Controlled focus and attention. Controlled attention leads to mastery in any type of human endeavor because it enables one to focus his power of his mind upon the attainment of a definite objective and to keep it so directed at will. Now, we've all heard stories of people who've had adversity in their life and seem to find ways to take adversity and rechannel that to do positive things. This controlled attention and, you know, habits is something that I'm going to talk about. And I'm not a huge Tom Brady fan, but I know Tom Brady was drafted 199th out of 254 players. And obviously from the combine where they evaluate players, they didn't think that he was going to be the GOAT or the greatest of all time that many people call him. What I think the difference is that Tom Brady's ability to control his attention and to have a discipline and a work habit is what really makes Tom Brady Tom Brady. His physical skills were not that superior. Probably one could argue they were inferior to many others. You know, but Bill Belichick spoke about Tom Brady and his success being that even as he got to be more successful, he studied the films more. He was the first person to training camp. He was the first person to practice sessions, and he was the last person to leave. So that might be counterintuitive. You might say this guy is a football rock star. He doesn't need to do that, but he does it because that's what makes him who he is. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, he was devoted. He was devoted to his business. And his
Right.
game.
So that was a pretty good 199th draft pick. If you want to look it up, you can see.
Dan
Basically,
Marino.
you know, you're
Marino.
getting the scraps. You're getting the scraps there. Lesson 12 or principle 12 is teamwork. There are plenty of teams in every sport that have great players and never win titles. Unfortunately, that's Dan Marino. Most of the times, those players aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good of other. I don't think that's Dan Marino, but if you have a selfish player that wants to be the star of attention but doesn't want to have the involvement in a successful team around them, they will be limited to the point in which they can rise. Okay, and that's not Rob Lazar telling you. That's 500 people at Napoleon Hill study telling it to you. Lesson 13 is adversity and defeat. And no great leader has succeeded without first failing. Does anybody disagree with that one?
Say it again.
No great leader has succeeded without first failing.
I agree.
I don't know anybody, and I've studied a lot of successful athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, and many of them have had tremendous failure before they found success. And to be honest, sometimes it's the failure that leads to their success. Okay. And it's also the way that they process it. I see here, something comes to mind is if you were to read the Michael Jordan interviews about how successful he was, he was cut in high school from a team. He was a walk-on in college. He says, I missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I was trusted to make the game-winning shot and failed. So everybody has failure. It's what you do with your failures that determine who you are, and that determines the character and the quality of your life. Create a vision, number 14. And I go back to Walt Disney. Create a vision is developed by the free and fearless use of one's imagination. It's not a miraculous quality with which one is gifted or is not gifted at birth. So create a vision, I'm going to lean into Glenn. I know Glenn's always thinking of different ways to deliver service at a more automated and higher efficiency and more personal touch. So creative vision is not just creating Disneyland. Creative vision is reimagining the way that we deliver our services and the way we deliver opportunities for our agents and our teams to have a higher quality of life. Lesson 15, health. Sound health begins with sound health consciousness, just as financial success begins with prosperity consciousness. Very few people can be wildly successful and completely neglect their health. Napoleon Hill, not Rob Lazar, saying that. Budgeting time and money is number 16. Time and money are precious resources, and few people striving for success ever believe they possess either one in excess. So we all have the same amount of time, and money is just a outcome of the value that we put in. And then the last thing, lesson 17, is habits. Developing and establishing positive habits leads to peace of mind, health, and financial security. Your thoughts and deeds. So I'm going to put this link here with the 17 principles. I'm going to encourage everybody to consume the content of Napoleon Hill. And it's not just to read it and check the box. We often talk about knowing something and internalizing it so that it can be empowering, are two different things. So if you quickly read through the book and you don't embrace what's going on and figure what's significant to you, I think it would be unfortunate. We're at 10:14 now. I want to see if there's any questions, and I'm going to turn over the last few minutes of the meeting to Maria to talk about RAMP, which is something that Maria and I enrolled in. We've invested our own money. We've invested our time. We're making it available to every select team member, select group member, to have it for free. And the only asterisk to getting it for free is that you actually participate and do the process, because a Peloton machine, as a coat hanger, does not help your health. Signing up for Rural Workman RAMP program and not attending and participating and doing the activities will do less than zero for you. Does that make sense? Maria, are you there?
I'm here, and thank you.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I am so excited for RAMP. We're getting some nice registrations. And look, I truly believe in it. I've seen the success here in the Tinton Falls office. And if I can just, tease you all a little bit, last year, we only had 4 recipients with, executive club, awards for REMAX. Well, this year we have 9. So RAMP works. So if you want at least 2 transactions a month and more, please join RAMP. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I don't have the $300. Talk to me. This is something that you do not want to miss, guys. I'm going to make it fun, number one, but you're going to walk away every week knowing what to do for your business, and at the same time, have time for yourself. So a part of RAMP is to actually show you how you can do business at a high level, but also dedicate some priority time to you and your family, which is very important. Because if we don't have that, we just lose steam, and that's not good. I would love to answer any questions you have. Right, RAMP is rising. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we go there, Maria, I just want to put a couple comments out there, and I want to say that the investment that you're making is actually completely picked up by us if you do the activities. So we obviously believe in this program, and we believe in educating and sharing this process with everybody, whether you're 6 months in the business or 23 years in the business. I think that everybody can get value out of the principles that are here. It's like the principles of Napoleon Hill. These are the principles of real estate success. Okay. And I think that our culture is one that Maria and I have spent a lot of time figuring out how can we deliver this, putting it in different locations so that it's more convenient for everybody to participate. But at the end of the day, you have to want to consume this. You have to make the initial investment when you.
Rob, we lost you. Uh-oh. Did we lose him? We lost him. He'll come back on. So RAMP is for everyone, whether you have experience or not. What RAMP will do is actually build a very strong foundation for your business, no matter at what level you are. I see far too many very experienced, hardworking agents that make a lot of money, but they're so frustrated because they're not organized. They don't have time to do things properly. They miss deals. Well, this is going to help you as well. Those agents who are just starting in the business, or if you're having a hard time getting your business up and running, this will give you the solid foundation as to what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I promise you, we're going to make it fun. But at the same token, I only want those agents that really want to take their business and, using that old cliche, bringing it to the next level. So, but I'm here to answer any questions. Another registration will go out for everyone. So there's a video there and you can register. But if you have any issues, just call me, and I'll help you along. There you go, Rob.
So
we're talking.
So Maria, just so you know, I practice what I preach. So today I just got off a family cruise, and I snuck off the boat early, and I'm doing this in the van because I don't want to miss these Friday sessions because I believe in the value that they have.
Yep.
So it would have been easy for me to say, it's New Year's. Let's just cancel it, right? But once you start to do that, it's like not going to the gym. It becomes easy to do, and I care too much, and I'm too passionate about what we're doing, what our mission is to allow that. So I apologize for getting disconnected a few times, but this is just symbolic of, if you're determined to do it, you'll find a way. If you're okay with allowing things to interrupt what your plan is, then that's going to happen as well. And it's our decision. It's your decision. It's far easier for Maria, Carly, TJ, Adona, myself to just say, you know what, they have RAMP on. You can go take it virtually, sign up for it and do the modules online. but we know that the impact is going to be muted by a multiple. Whether the result is going to be, a 50% or a 250% improvement. If you do it online, I know that the result is going to be a 2 to 5% improvement. And that's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to your leadership team. We want to contribute. We want to make this available to you. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to get up. You need to go to the real estate gym. You need to eat the healthy real estate diet if you want to get the outcome that you want. We're on a mission to give you the coaching, the tools, and the resources to get there at a much quicker level. We are passionate about what we do. I love what I do. Like, to me, this is not a chore. This is fun to try to help the family get to the next level.
So,
Okay.
Rob, people have been wanting
so-
the link. So, guys, go on the hub. Everyone has access to the hub right there, right smack in front of your face underneath
some of the people
calendar, you
in
have it.
Maria, Fred, does everybody in Advantage Plus have access to the hub yet?
No.
Probably not. So we can get an email out. Well, I can send a follow-up email out from Rob at goselectgroup.com today. And I'll have the link. It'll just be a link to the registration. Is Fozzie on?
Yes.
I am on. Hi.
So Fozzie, how are we going to handle this in Southeast Florida?
We have a rollout that I have scheduled for everyone, so we'll stick to the rollout and you and I can go over it. We have a rollout with all of the hubs and all the integration.
I think we're gonna start it in February.
So I'll be there. I'll be there the 9th through the 11th, working with your leadership team. We'll probably roll it out in Southeast Florida at a live to do it in person starting in February. And the benefit for the people in Florida is whatever hiccups we have in New Jersey, we'll have those overcome. And I would love to see team leaders, team members. If you can get a decoder ring to get to success a little bit quicker, and your broker cares enough to pay for that for you and to present it live, in my opinion, it would be a lost opportunity not to take advantage of that. Yeah, you might have some rainy weather. It might be a little snowy one day. You might have days you don't feel like getting up and doing it. You might say it would be more convenient to do it from home, but we believe in helping you individually get to that next level. And, I challenge you to take it, use it, grow with it, and we're going to pick up the tab.
So, Rob, here in New
Harley,
Jersey?
TJ, thank you.
Rob,
What is RAMP?
Hold on, guys, hold on. So here, RAMP in New Jersey is going to be Tuesday. Either you can come to any Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So Tuesday, it's going to be in Tin Falls. On Wednesdays, it's going to be in Westfield. And on Thursdays, it's going to be in Paramus. So if you can't make one, you can make the other. There'll be no excuses to miss a class. I promise you, it's going to be great. Go
And
on the
Maria,
hub,
Maria,
and there's a widget there.
Hold on, Maria. Two
Yeah.
things. One, somebody asked what is RAMP? It's Rising Agent Mastery,
Yes.
which are the principles to help you take your business to that next level. Okay, it's not a sales pitch. It's not anything other than.
It's building your foundation to your business. As a matter of fact, RAMP is now being offered to one of the RE/MAXs in Texas, and they're charging $1,200 for the 10-week course. So we are severely discounting it, and you can get
The
your
last
money
thing,
back
if
by
we have
attending.
enough, and so Maria, if we have enough people in Franklin Lakes, Morris County area, we'll have Adona attend one of the sessions and present the material. The following will be like 1 week behind, but we'll roll it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But like I said, go on the hub. There's a widget for ramp. With a countdown, you could register right there with any of the offices. So you really don't need a link. Just go to the hub and you will see the widget for ramp. We start January 17th in Tinton Falls, January 18th in Westfield, January 19th in Paramus, and there's a possibility of either Franklin Lakes or Morristown the week after. So it's 10 weeks, 2 hours in person only. It cannot be done on a Zoom.
So I am losing my connectivity. Maria, if you can drive it home with Fred in terms of answering any questions. I just want to tell everyone
Sorry.
do our best to give you all the tools, resource, leadership to help you get there quicker.
Okay.
Have a happy and safe New Year, everybody. Maria, you stay on and answer any questions, okay?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so guys, I'm
Thank you.
here. You can open up your mics. I'm here to answer your questions. Anyone? No? Well?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that as you guys move along with it, we'll start getting it started down
Well-
here in South Florida.
Ron, have you been able to go through my login?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Awesome. Okay, great. Anybody, questions? Scott, you and I will talk later.
I think we're good.
I don't know, you
Anybody
said
can
about
reach out to
the
us.
hub, but I don't know what the hub is all about.
Okay, the hub, Tony, it's goremaxselect.com. Are you in Florida, Tony?
Yes, I
Okay,
am with
so
Ron, yeah.
Ron will help you out with that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, Ron will help you out because I don't know your schedules and going on the hub and registering isn't going to benefit you. So
Oh, okay.
only, for New Jersey, I have it on the hub. It's a widget with a countdown. Our affiliates are going to be helping and supporting us. Bruce with Supreme Lending. We're going to have LandQuest Title helping us. We're going to have swag bags for you. Great workbooks. It's going to be awesome. It really is. I'm going to feed you. So it's going to be fun. It's all about the food, right, Tony?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. But if there are no more questions, then we could end.
Maria,
Yeah.
what's the
Happy
deadline
New
for
Year.
signing up?
Thank
I'm
you,
sorry,
Maurice.
what?
I'll be in
What's the
touch.
deadline for signing up?
The deadline actually, it would be, we didn't give a deadline, but here's the problem. It takes a good week, about 4 to 5 days for you to receive the workbook. It's very big. This is the workbook. All right, huge. This comes in the mail to your house once you register. However, I do have a downloaded copy that if you do not get it in time, that you can use while you wait to get the real one.
Okay, thank you.
If you have any problems, please let me know. If you're finding it difficult to pay the $300, just don't give up. Call me. Let's find a solution. Like I said, this is going on in one of the Remaxes in Texas, and they're charging $1,200 to do this ramp class. But that's not what Rob and I are about. We don't want to make money on you guys. We will actually give you your money back if you attend all 10 classes.
Maria?
Yes, Maurice.
On the hub to try to register. I don't think it's working right now. Can you take a look at it when you have time?
Absolutely. Yeah, and if it's a broken link, I will fix it. Fred, are you on? Fred?
Here.
Fred, hi. Can you check the link on the widget for ramp, please?
Okay.
Maurice is saying it's not working.
Let me see. I'll email it to you directly, Maurice, if you can.
Okay,
All
perfect.
right,
Log in.
we'll fix it. We'll fix it. Okay. And invites for registration have been going out pretty much every other day from the Remax training email, so look out for those. And what will happen is after we do ramp, we're going to be doing slam, and that's all about taking listings. But let's get through ramp first. But anyway, if we're all good, I wish everyone a very happy new year. May you all be safe. May you all, enjoy your family and your friends. Party hard, because come 2023, we are going to work our butts off to get you where you want to go. Okay? Happy New Year, everyone.